It becomes about I. It's not like, churches aren't breaking up because of great theological schisms. They're breaking up over personal preference, right? If they're breaking up, Why did you stop coming? Well, I just didn't get a lot out of it. It wasn't speaking to me anymore. That's your ego. I wasn't being stroked the right way at church. What? Go ahead.
Jake's reading a book called The Screwtape Letters by C.S. Lewis, and it talks about how Satan gets into people and pulls them away from God, so that God's never the center. And one thing you read to me, which I thought was really good, it kind of hit me, is that sometimes we're sitting here and we should be students and pupils and disciples, yet we become critics, looking for the problems. I thought that was a really great point, and that's what drives us away sometimes. Is I could never find a place that would preach like I would preach, although I wouldn't preach. That kind of
Yeah, yeah. I don't have the gift of preaching. I have the gift of being critical of those who have it. That's my gift.
So it's neat to catch ourselves. Are we being a student and a disciple and serving, or are we being the critic of it all and dividing?
Yeah. Sean.
Corinthians back then was, Corinth, right? They had tons of problems, and Paul's writing them, chapter after chapter, addressing all these problems, and egos is one of them. But it's funny, we still have it today,
Yeah.
Whether it's two sports teams, we're not even on the team. We're just
Yes.
fans of the team. And we talk smack about it's going to win, and then when they win, it's like we're all puffed up.
Hope we win Sunday.
We didn't do anything.
Yeah.
We weren't even the guy on the sidelines holding the first down marker. We didn't do nothing, and yet we're all puffed up about if they win or not. When I was in the Philippines, there's this game where the kids play. They get a little hermit crab on the beach, and they all bet on their hermit crab, like a few coins or whatever. They put the hermit crabs in the middle, and they draw a circle, and they cheer on their hermit crab to get out of the circle first. And
Philippines FanDuel.
they're like running around with their hermit crab like they did something about it. And it's like, why are you being popped up about something you have no control over? And I think that's what Paul is getting at. Because the culture of the Jews at the time was kind of like pick your Pharisee and follow him, right? Like pick your teacher.
Right.
That's who your identity is.
Yeah.
It's a status thing. They were all about who's at the head of the table. They're all about who's on the list to be invited to the party. Who's going to get the most honor by doing a certain thing, by reading the Word of God. They would have all this, you could see it in the Chosen, like how prestigious it was, and they wanted to be honored. And here's Paul going, you guys are doing that with Christians now.
Yeah.
Like we're carrying that old
Yeah.
Jewish custom into this, and you guys gotta stop doing that. So he's really addressing their Jewish problems of bringing that kind of the Pharisee thing over. And he's like, we're all the same.
Yeah, even within a group itself, we apply, adjectives and modifiers to things. We're always trying to get into that smaller, more elite group, right? Because you think about it, there are people who apply the word true to things all the time, like true Christian. Well, a true Christian wouldn't go. Well, a true Christian wouldn't do. Well, a true Christian wouldn't say, well, right? And it's even applied to America now, true Americans, right? Well, you can be an American, and you can be the lower level American, just kind of going about your day, or you can slap a flag on your car and be a true American. That's just my opinion. I'm sorry. That's just my opinion. But, true American or true, that I listen to this guy talking about, because I like to keep up on the pop culture sometimes, so I can throw in something at work that doesn't seem like all I do is sit at home and read theologians and Russian novels. So I started following this Blake Lively thing, don't do it, because I stopped. But it's horrible. These people are horrible. But one debate was like, what a true feminist is. Like, you can be a feminist, but then you have to be a true, like, to sell the cookies and get the merit badge. You really have to be a true feminist. So you have to think this way. Because this way of thinking, like, women are good and should be treated equally in the workplace and nice, and I really like them. That's not good enough anymore. It's got to be this thing, this new thing, because the new thing is the best thing. And that's really what we get with the ego, the puffing up. Well, you used to be this way, but back in the, Some lady was talking about the problematic problems of Groundhog Day, how they should have an updated version. And she went into all these stupid things, and it's just like, really? That's what we need to, what we need to do to clean up our society? Remake a more politically friendly Groundhog Day. Go ahead, Nelson.
So you mentioned about the true Christian. Funny, my wife and I have been having a conversation, and this gentleman that she works with came up with a conversation. And on first impression, you see this guy, looks like a grumpy old man,
Yeah.
And my wife said, well, he's a Christian. He's really into the Bible. And I'm like, but Bill, on first impressions, I don't see the love of Christ in him. I know. I said, he might be a nice guy and all, and you say he's a Christian, but that's not the first impression I get when I see this guy.
Yeah.
He comes off like, tough old grumpy dude. Like, don't talk to me unless I talk to you. That kind of,
Mm-hmm.
like, that's not good. I want to see the love of Christ in him if he is a true Christian. You know what I mean? And I'm a Christian, and I don't see it. How about all those others that are non-Christians? Is that what a Christian's supposed to be like?
Mm-hmm.
So, true Christian, that's, in my opinion, perception.
Yeah. Yeah.
We all have our faults.
Yeah.
Sinners. No one is perfect in the eyes of God. And even though you could be Mr. Holy Roly, there is something that you do wrong that is not appealing or pleasant to God Almighty.
Yes.
So instead of
Yeah.
being critics, we should be critics of ourselves.
Oh, definitely,
How
definitely.
can we do better in the eyes
Yeah.
of the Lord?
Yeah.
How can I improve my walk with Christ?
Yeah. I just want, but there really, ultimately, there's only one person that I want to hear whether or not that I'm a true Christian from, and it's none of you guys, right? It's Jesus Christ. If I fool all of you and fake him out, or try to fake him out, I gain nothing. And the thing is, the thing is, as great as we are, collectively, we could be off the base. If I go around trying to please Mark's a great guy. If I emulate him, I'll do pretty good. If I cozy up to him, I'll do all right. I'll be going far. Not far enough. Not far enough. Well, let's jump back in. I love everyone's responses, and I really do appreciate what you're saying. I was talking about the labeling of true, putting label, how people need to label, and everything needs to be ratcheted up in today's society, in my opinion. So I wanted to get to, we've gone over that the ego is painful, and that's because it's bloated, it's puffed up, right? And that there's something wrong at the center. This is what C.S. Lewis, who's already been quoted, has to say about pride in mere Christianity. And I've got to say, Bill, it hurt my feelings that you didn't think that I read Screwtape Letters already, that I wasn't familiar with it. It hurt my feelings. I understand. I'm just kidding. He says, and this is kind of long, but I like Lewis, so I'll give him the time. Pride gets no pleasure out of having something, only out of having more of it than the next person. We say that we are proud of being rich or clever or good looking, but they are not. When you say you're proud of your looks, your riches, you're not proud of the thing itself, is what he's saying. All right, let's let him finish. They are proud of being richer and cleverer and better looking than others. If everyone else became equally rich or clever or good looking, there would be nothing to be proud about. So Lewis is saying pride, it's very important to understand, pride doesn't give pleasure, it robs it. Now, I'm going to say something that might be, I hope you don't understand this, but I want to say this. Let's take a look at two driving forces that might occur in a man's life to do a thing. Let's look at lust and pride. Lust might drive a man to sleep with a beautiful woman, right? Lust could cause you to do that. But at least lust makes him want her. Now the point comes in the next sentence. Pride drives a man to sleep with a beautiful woman just to prove he can do it and to prove that he can do it above all others. Pride destroys the ability to have any real pleasure from her. So pride is so much about the self that it can negate the other person involved in an action, the other person in the relationship, right? And we see that all. I mean, that was amazing to me. I'm not saying, hey, well, I slept with a woman, but at least I did it for lust. I'm not saying that. That's not the point. But I'm trying to say, we talk a lot about lust and overcoming it. Pride sits at our center, making that almost impossible. If we're struggling with pride, if we have that thing at the center that is not God, then if we're driven by pride and rankings and how many points did I get and this and that and pumping up the ego, please, my ego needs oxygen. Please, tell me how great I am. It is constantly in pain, and it is constantly out of whack of who we are. It's almost like, when we say our feelings are hurt, it means we're being driven by our ego. Because God says, these trials, they're what shape us. But we bemoan the fact that somebody said a word against us. We don't take it as a learning experience. We don't look at it. We don't look at what they say and say, oh, is there any truth in that? Is there any truth in the fact that, somebody was talking to me the other day and they said, I talk a lot. And my first response was, I know I talk a lot. But my first response was, I haven't been really sleeping very well and I get stressed out. When I stress out, I talk a lot. No, I talk a lot. When I am stressed out and not sleeping, I talk more than a lot. But my first thing wasn't, you know what? It must be annoying to be with me in the room right now because I am talking a lot. It must be annoying. I'm going to try and stop. Will you do me the favor of making sure that I don't fall asleep because I'm literally talking to myself at 2:30 in the morning, 2:30 in the afternoon nonstop, so that I don't fall asleep at work. Could you help me out? I'll shut up. You shake me every once in a while. Deal? But that's not how I responded. I gave a bunch of defensive moves. No, it's this. It's certainly not me. Carl.
So one thing I appreciate is there's an aspect of the world that tries to criticize us and tries to lead to our defense.
Mm-hmm.
That we can turn around and go, oh, no, that's not. You don't understand. You're not seeing all of me. Let me tell you how great I am in response to you criticizing any part of me. But there's also an aspect of the world that says, hey, how do you feel about and wants to get your opinion on something? And I have a hard time, I know, turning to that and saying, I can tell you how I feel, but it doesn't matter. Especially where Christianity is concerned, people come up to you and they say, hey, I want to get your opinion on how do you feel about this thing that's going on, this thing that's in the news? How do you feel about
Mm-hmm.
a lady bishop criticizing the president? Or how do you feel about, homosexuality in the church? Or how do you, and there's a part of me that has a hard time turning around and saying, I can tell you how I feel about that, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Let me point you to.
Yeah.
Let me point you to.
Yeah.
Come to church, talk to Christ, and let me point you to the person whose opinion does matter. Let me point you to the, and I have a hard time doing that. I don't, and I haven't found a successful way to constantly do that. But I see that, and I don't know if this is something that's coming up or what, but I definitely have trouble with, when I hear a criticism, hey, hang on a second, let me defend myself to you. Who are you to attack me?
Yeah.
And that pride. But I have almost a bigger issue with when someone says, hey, I want to hear your opinion. Boy, that puffs me up
Yeah.
faster than defensiveness does. My
Well,
opinion? You want
yeah.
my opinion? Well, yes, let me give it to you. And I have trouble turning around and saying, my opinion doesn't matter.
Yeah, that can.
Let me take myself out of the equation and try to give you the opinion that does matter.
Yeah, that continues to be a rough road of maturity for me as well. Not always needing to share my opinions, even when asked. But I'm getting there. So I want to tell you the Lewis quote points out that our ego is also very busy, right? We're constantly comparing, right? Yo, I like that shirt. I wish I had a shirt like that. I'd look better than Bill in that. If I was wearing, we're doing that constant comparing and contrasting and valuing, So the ego is misshapen. It's bloated. It's painful. It's busy, and there's one, and it's fragile, right? And I'm running out of time, but I want to give at least some of the last words to one of my personal heroes, and a woman who has a very good grasp of the self, and that person is Madonna. Here's what Madonna said quite a while ago, probably, in Vogue magazine. You remember Vogue magazine? She said, and I know it's Madonna, everyone wants to dismiss this, but she is spot on about the human condition. So give her a listen. My drive in life comes from a fear of being mediocre. That is always pushing me. I push past one spell of it and discover myself as a special human being. But then I feel I am still mediocre and uninteresting unless I do something else. Because even though, this is important, I love this part, I'm sorry, I want to make sure I read it right. Because even though I have become somebody, I still have to prove that I am somebody. My struggle has never ended, and I guess it never will. Well, yeah. When you're beholden to the ego, when you're beholden to what happened the last 10 seconds in your career or life, that's the way to live. She's right on. Right? I used to be somebody. Right? You know, I used to be in the Navy, and I used to go into bars and do the things that people do in bars. And old men would come, and you'd sit next to them, and you'd talk to them, and they would talk about the good old days. You know, how time is kind of passing by. Well, what are you doing now, sir? Well, I'm sitting here in a bar. You can find me here tomorrow, too. You know, they used to be somebody, but then they just got off the wheel, and now they're in that inferiority complex, which is when the huge balloon of our misshapen ego deflates, when we're no longer feeling superior, and we realize the world has caught up to us and moved on by. We're just that saggy balloon. And you talk to either one of the people. The guy who has the superiority complex wants to tell you how great he was, right? The guy with the inferiority complex either wants to tell you about how great he was or how great he could be if somebody would just get out of his way, or this thing would be removed from his path, or he would find this or that, right? Again, it doesn't matter. There's no difference between high self-esteem and low self-esteem. It's all misplaced because God's not at the center. I don't have to care what Sean thinks about me because ultimately it doesn't matter. I want to be his friend. I am his friend. I want to stay in good standing with him as a brother. But if something happens and we have to break paths, or he realizes my personality is just too overwhelming for him, then we have to move on, right? And we could do it with bad egos, or we could do it like Christ tells us. Hey, just minimize your time with that brother. Don't invite him over. You know, you don't have to be friends with everyone, right? You don't have to compare yourself. Or else we get on that mouse wheel that Madonna was saying, I have made it. Oh, I still suck. I still suck. People, they liked me more yesterday than they do today, don't they? Ugh. What am I going to do now? Oh, I know. I'm going to walk around on stage with less clothes on. That'll do it. Or I'm going to sing, you know, like Madonna has revamped herself several times. Like, she has a trip-hop album. Do you know that? Because she goes in different ways and says, oh, I'm great at this already. Let me see if I can be great at that, or how great I can be in this genre of music. She's tried acting to mediocre response, I think, right? But she stopped and she's moved on. She's tried religion. She wore the Jewish sect red bracelet for a while. That was hot with all the young people for a while. The Kabbalah, she got into that. She made that popular. She kind of stepped away from that when people were like, oh, you're kind of fake like that. It's kind of fake. We've moved on. When other people moved on, she, you know. But just imagine, that's what we allow when we give our power to our ego and not to God as the center. And Christ says explicitly, again and again, none of this matters. None of this matters. It's like Bill was saying on Wednesday, the living water. You can see in Madonna's quote that she is not satisfied. She ends it by saying, this is a problem, but it's not going to go away. Why? Because I refuse to change. I refuse to change. I will be chasing the newest version of myself and the newest remaking of myself till I die. Because I can't stop. And as Christians, we know better. We know how to step off that wheel. Seek first the kingdom of God. Thirst for the living water. Those are the answers. God, through a relationship with Jesus Christ, that is the answer. And ego is such a thing that besets men so easily. And we can shape it, and we can do it, and we can make it good. I use my ego or my work. I work a lot for my family, and my family is a good thing. It's godly. So therefore, I work. I don't see my family, but I work for my family so that because God says family's good, and it all falls apart, right? When you put that thing first, when you put work and all the greatness that comes with work ahead of your relationship with God, it all falls apart. Even the good things that you do in the name, or the thing you do in the name of the good thing, because you swapped out the good thing for the great thing. And so I really want to leave you with that, and just hopefully we can kind of rein in our ego a little bit, even let it go, and realize that when we feel hurt, maybe it's because there's too much of me going on in the situation and not enough of God. So I'll leave you with